Hey, it's Molly. Thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel as I wanted to do a video for you on the stelliums that we're moving through during the first half of 2022. A stellium is when 3 or more planets are traveling together in the same astrological sign. Sometimes they are all conjunct, which means they're all together around the same degree points. Other times they're spread out, but they still add a particular emphasis to an astrological sign. So we're going to talk about that in this video because I think it's important to have a heads up around how these energies might be working with you, as well as how you might be experiencing them in your own life and in your own chart. Now you'll see here that this chart is dated March 8th, but these energies continue into May. And I am going to show you a second chart in this video that is a teaching chart. It's an example of how these energies might be working with you. And again, a bit of a heads up of what to be aware of. So here in this chart, we are now experiencing multiple planets in Aquarius. Mars, Venus, Saturn, Mercury. When 2022 began, we had more planets, including the transiting sun in Capricorn. So we started the year with a big focus on Capricorn energies, especially when both Venus and Mercury were retrograde in Capricorn. Now the energy has moved on, and we're seeing the planets move forward, of course. And then this brings a focal point to the Aquarius energies in your chart. So if you have planets or points in Aquarius, you are probably really feeling this energy as Mars, Venus, Saturn, and Mercury move through and bring attention and focus to any planets or points in Aquarius. Now over here, we have 3 planets in Pisces, Jupiter, Sun, and Neptune. And as the sun moves on, it will enter Aries, of course. And then in May, we're going to see Jupiter enter Aries as well. Then the planets move forward and they move into Taurus, where we currently have Uranus and the North Node. So as you can see, the planets, especially the outer planets, are all in consecutive astrological signs. So this is like a train. Pluto is the caboose, but the energy moves from Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. So you have in your natal chart these transiting planets moving through these same astrological signs and bringing our collective and individual attention to these areas of your chart. And then as the personal planets move through, they bring in more of the daily energies because the personal planets are about how we use our energy on a daily basis. So essentially, this section of the zodiac is very alive right now from Capricorn to Taurus. And any planets you have in these particular astrological signs are feeling these energies. So that means not only are the planets working with your planets in Aquarius, but they be working with your planets here in Pisces. And then pretty soon we'll have more of a focus on Aries, and then we'll have a focus on Taurus. So this is going to be a theme here where these areas of your chart, the houses where you have late degrees of Capricorn into Taurus, are going to be calling your attention. They're going to be much more active and alive, and this is something that we can experience in so many ways. Of course, it depends on your own chart, but that's why I wanted to do this video for you so that you understand what's going on, because there is more of a focus on particular astrological signs when we have multiple planets not only traveling together, but really amplifying and highlighting these parts of your life and these parts of your chart. So now that we're moving through 2022, we're not only going to see these planets move forward, but the transiting sun, of course, moves 1 degree a day, and it's going to progress forward as it always does, highlighting more of these energies. So this is a good heads up to be aware of because this part of the zodiac has the most attention and focus on it right now, at a collective level as well as at an individual level, but you could be experiencing this in so many different ways because any of your planets or points in Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus are going to be calling for your attention. They're going to be working with bigger energies, and they're going to be feeling this energy even more. So be aware of that because these stelliums, like for example with this Pisces stellium, it really brings our attention to the Pisces areas of our lives. How are we in acceptance? How are we finding peace with what is? How are we able to let things go? Find the higher spiritual purpose. Understand what you were learning. Be able to forgive, to let go, to allow the endings to occur. How can we focus on what it means to be in a place of allowing, to surrender the ego, to allow things to move as they need to move without thinking we have to control it or force it. So this strong focus on Pisces energy is big for all of us, but it could be even bigger for you if you have planets or points here in Pisces. So the stelliums really bring our attention to the archetypal energies and themes of each astrological sign because you have multiple planets in conversation. So you have Jupiter, the Sun, and Neptune highlighting and in conversation around these Pisces energies, asking you to really understand the higher purpose of Pisces. And the same can be true for Aquarius. Even though not all 4 planets are conjunct, all 4 planets are activating these Aquarius themes and bringing your attention to the Aquarius areas of yourself, of your life, and of your chart. So again, the stelliums really bring a focus, and it's almost like this is the assignment right now. The universe is saying, okay, look here at the Aquarius, Pisces areas of your chart. And then as we continue into 2022, the assignment will shift into a focus on the Aries and Taurus parts of your chart. So just keep that in mind because this is where the energies can feel more intense, more alive, more active, much bigger, and it brings up how you personally are working with those energies of that astrological sign. Now, I want to show you another chart of a dear friend of mine and show you how these stelliums are working with her. Okay, so I just changed charts on you, and I know you're like, now what am I looking at? So we were just talking about where the transiting planets are on March 8th. The green are the transiting planets. So these are the planets we were just talking about, right? With these 3 planets here in Pisces, and then we have the 4 planets here in Aquarius. So these are the transiting planets. And by the way, this is what an astrology chart looks like when you're looking at both your natal chart and the transiting planets. So transiting planets are in green. Her natal chart is in pink. So she has Sun in Virgo in the 7th house, there with Saturn, Mercury in Leo. She has Jupiter and her moon in Cancer, right? And then you can see her rising is there at 14 degrees of Aquarius. And so what she's experiencing is that all of these stelliums are essentially in opposition to her natal energies. So not only does she have planets in Virgo, you can see she has 3 planets here in Libra, as well as her Uranus in Scorpio. She's experiencing her Uranus opposition with that transiting Uranus in Taurus opposing. And so what she's moving through is that these stelliums of the first half of the year are opposing her natal planets. Now, when you have oppositional energies like this, it can feel like things are out of your control. It can feel like it's not your normal energy. It's not how you normally proceed or would make choices. For example, earlier in January and February, when the planets were in Capricorn, especially those Mercury, Venus retrogrades, they were opposing her moon. She had some big stuff happening with her family, with her kids, that she had to deal with. You can see too that those energies were also then opposing her Jupiter in Cancer. So she had a lot to deal with her family, and the Capricorn energies were requiring her to take charge, make choices, do what needed to be done. Now, as she moves through the first half of this year, the planets, the transiting planets, are still in opposition to her natal planet. So this means, again, you can almost feel like, it can kind of feel like you're on the defense, or that you have to be ready for what happens next. Again, the oppositions feel like it's stretching you, and you're looking to find balance. And so earlier, she had both the Sun and Jupiter in Pisces opposing her Sun in Virgo, her Saturn in Virgo. So that opposition was requiring for her to find some type of balance within herself and her obligations, and then just needing time to herself in that first house. With her rising at 14 degrees of Aquarius, Saturn just went over that. That's a really big deal. Saturn going across the rising happens only every 29 years or so. So that is significant in her chart, because that means a whole new beginning in her life is starting. A whole new cycle of energy that is beginning a new 30-year cycle. I mean, that's significant. Anytime Saturn goes across your ascendant, that's a big deal. And then Saturn opposing her Mercury in Leo. What does that look like? What does that mean? What are the choices? How does it work with the people in her life? So she has some big turning point energies here. That's another way that these oppositions show up. You have to make some choices, but you might feel like the energy's outside of you. And that's because if you have planets or points that are receiving oppositional transits right now, you could be feeling it in a really big way. So that's why I wanted to show you her chart, because almost every planet is experiencing an opposition for the first half of 2022. And that's rare. That's rare. And so in your chart, you want to be aware of anything that is working with you through these stelliums that could seem exceptionally big. And that is true for her, because of all these transiting planets on this side of her chart, right? All on this side of her chart, where she has all of her natal planets on the other side of her chart. So that is why these stelliums can be quite big, because it's taking her energy that's normally comfortable. So wherever your natal planets are, that's where they're comfortable. That's where they're at home. So her energies here in Libra are at home in the 8th house. But when we get into Aries season, they're going to receive the opposition from the Sun. And then later in May and June, opposition from Jupiter. Jupiter will be in Aries. And so they're out of their home, they're being challenged out of their home turf. And those oppositions can take time to master, to figure out, to understand where you're being pulled outside of your home environment. Because at first it could feel like a challenge. It could feel like something is working against you. Of course, that's never truly the case, but that's how it can feel. And in her chart, because she has very strong relationship energies, the 7th house, the 8th house, and she's a beautiful caregiver, a wonderful mother with that strong Cancer. What is happening is that there's actually a balancing going on for her over the first half of the year. And the balancing is bringing her back into herself, into what she needs and what she wants, and basically calling her energy into who she is now. And it's even stronger with that Saturn now in her first house, asking her to get really clear on who she is now, what matters to her. There's a new self-identity, a new energy rising in her sense of self with Saturn now in the first house. But with that opposition to her Mercury in Leo, she's, aware of how it would affect other people, relationships, what she needs to take care of. So essentially the universe is balancing her energetically, and that would be one of the highest ways of looking at this. So even if you only have, let's say you have a few planets in Leo, well, the stellium here in Aquarius is working with you big time, and it's pulling you out of the Leo comfort zone and bringing you into the Aquarius energies, the bigger picture, the people you know, the world at large, where you're going, your connections. So it's stretching you out of that Leo home turf and asking you to really look at more of the opposite side of the spectrum, or the other side of the coin, if you will. So that can be used for balance. Same is true for these strong Pisces energies if they're working with those of you who have very strong Virgo. And I know there's many of you who were born during the 60s, the 1960s, and you probably have maybe Pluto and Uranus in Virgo. And now there's opposition here is quite big, where the Pisces energy wants you to take a break, let it go. Don't worry about it. Don't stress. Take care of your health. Look at what's right for you. Step away. You don't have to manage everything. You don't have to worry about things falling apart if you take a vacation. So that Pisces energy wants to balance the Virgo energy. And then soon, with this, we'll have the stronger Aries energy, which is going to bring your attention back to what you need, what is correct for you, because that Libra energy is very much about connections and partnerships, who you collaborate with, who you work with, how you share with others. And then the strong Aries is going to ask you, well, what do you need that maybe you overlooked, that you've lost connection to? How can you return to that connection to yourself and honor it, and know that the relationships that are best for you give you room and space to do so? Those relationships are going to last, and they're going to get stronger when you strengthen your relationship to yourself. Then the energies here in Taurus, the Taurus energies are going to strengthen, especially as we move into eclipse season in late April into May, and bring our attention to how we're changing, evolving, and shifting, especially with that Uranus there. And these are the energies that call you back into what matters to you and takes you away from some of those Scorpio joint investments, where you have things intertwined with others, or there can be some things that you're realizing in your energy that no longer work for you. And that's also because the South Node is here in Scorpio, asking us to let go of what is outdated, expired, and what is no longer healthy. And then the energy is focused on Taurus that wants you to get grounded, clear, simplify your life, simplify what you need. It's a bit like untangling yourself from anything that is no longer meaningful or no longer works for you. So we're going to have strong energies: Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. These are the parts of your chart, wherever that might be for you, that are going to be calling for your attention and your energy, working with you more strongly. And you could also feel this through any squares that you might have, any squares that you're experiencing to these transiting planets. And then the way to move the energy is through the trines. So for example, the Pisces energy can be moved through Cancer and Scorpio. So in her chart, at least her Cancer energies are receiving support from the Pisces energies right now. So for trines, you're looking for the same element. So this is the water signs. So that's another thing that's strong here, is that every element, air is Aquarius, water is Pisces, fire is Aries, earth is Taurus. Every element is represented here. So every element might be receiving a trine or energetic support from another of the same element. So this Taurus energy perhaps is receiving support to the Virgo energies. Okay, so of course it gets complicated, and of course this would be individual for you in your own chart and what's happening in your own chart. And I know that you're at different levels. People who watch my channel, you're either, some of you are so advanced, and then some of you are brand new and you're just entering astrology. So it does depend on your own knowledge base, but essentially what we're looking at here with these stelliums is that there's a lot of energy in Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus. And you want to note where that is in your chart and look at how that's working with you. Because if you're experiencing a lot of opposition or squares, then it's time for changes. There's things you're deciding, you're figuring it out. It might not feel easy, it might not be fluid, it could be challenging. But this is where the universe is giving us certain assignments right now, and they could be really clear. Because again, these stelliums are really clear. They focus on a particular energy and a particular astrological sign. So we're essentially mastering more of the Aquarius, we're mastering more of the Pisces, and then as we progress forward, we're going to be more into the Aries and the Taurus energies. So I hope this has given you some good things to look at and be aware of as we move through the first half here of 2022. This could also explain if you have planets or points in Cancer, Cancer especially. January was probably really hard because, again, we had a lot of planets in Capricorn in January that would have been opposing your soft, tender, loving Cancer energies. And then it could have been really tough as well because of the squares. So those planets that were in Capricorn were also squaring Libra and squaring Aries. But now they've moved on, right? So they were in Capricorn, squaring Libra, squaring Aries, opposing Cancer. Now they're in Aquarius, sextiling Aries and trining Libra. So the good news is that when things move forward, the energy moves forward and new connections can open up. So if you've had a really hard month, again, if January was really tough, especially for any planets or points in Cancer, well, hopefully that's opening up and alleviating as we move through Pisces season, where those Pisces energies are now supporting the Cancer energies. So, stelliums, with the outer planets especially, and the personal planets are more of a big deal. That's why I wanted to do this video for you. Be sure and take a look at your own chart, look at what's going on, how they're transiting around your chart, what they're activating, what they're bringing up, and that might explain how you're moving through this year so far and what is going on for you. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has brought you some good insights and understandings around what's happening in your world. I'll be back with another video very soon. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you for your comments, subscribes, and for sharing this video with more people who are into astrology. I'll be back here soon for another video. Take good care.